Welcome to The Debate, where we love to dive deep into complex issues and explore every angle. Today, we're tackling the incredible, many-sided creative universe of Daniel Bates, a force known by, well, so many different names. DLB, Don D. East, Ad Daniels Vision, D-Lin Bates, to name a few. He's a rapper, a label head, a film director and screenwriter, an author, and a visionary entrepreneur. So, the big question we're wrestling with today is this. Does Daniel Bates' vast body of work and his multifaceted public personas really reflect one singular, interconnected philosophical empire, where personal experience is continuously molded into a grand, unified creative vision? Or is it more accurately the output of a highly adaptable and prolific polymath, someone who showcases diverse talents and ventures, each operating effectively across distinct domains? I'll be arguing for the unified empire, asserting that there's a central thread connecting all his endeavors.
And I'll be contending that Bates is more aptly described as a versatile polymath, excelling in many separate fields.
Okay, so from my perspective, Daniel Bates's incredible and varied output isn't just a random collection of projects. Instead, it's a meticulously constructed, deeply interconnected empire driven by one singular philosophical vision. You see this vision explicitly stated in his work like Street to Stage, where he emphasizes legacy moves only and building something better out of trauma. He famously proclaims, and I quote, "What got me out the trap wasn't luck, I escaped. Didn't catch a break, I made one." His overarching A Daniels vision that serves as the creative umbrella for all his non-music development, encompassing film, branding, ventures like Neon Vision Studios. This vision unites his narrative projects, such as Scar's Truth, and his Peter Pan take, The Boy Who Stole Time, which consistently deconstructs archetypes through a lens of deep psychological insight and societal critique. What's more, his 4am Thoughts explicitly tells us, "I've gone by different names, built different identities, crafted personas for the sake of art and survival, but I've always kept Daniel at the center." This, to me, indicates a deliberate, centralized self-construction at the very heart of his diverse personas. Even the structure of his business ventures, with Visions to Ventures, V2V, his primary holding and management company, serving as a central hub for his portfolio under Arison Holdings, his larger corporate umbrella, reinforces this strategic, empire-building mindset rooted in his deeply personal journey and that desire to leave a legacy.
I see things a bit differently. While there's no doubt Daniel Bates is a powerful force in the creative industries, his expansive range of projects and personas is, in my view, better understood as the output of a highly adaptable and incredibly prolific polymath, rather than some singular, philosophically unified empire. I mean, his engagement across wildly different fields. You've got lo-fi trap music under DLB, then K-pop and R&B production, directing psychological thrillers under Ad Daniels Vision with Neon Vision Studios, and authoring varied think pieces like that one on Jerry Jones, The Relentless Pursuit of Another Super Bowl. Alongside his own memoir, it truly points to a remarkable breadth of talent rather than one monolithic vision. The practical use of distinct names for specific functional roles, like DLB for music, Ad Daniels Vision for film, D-Lin Bates for his authorial work, it suggests a pragmatic compartmentalization. He's adapting, to the unique demands and expectations of each industry. His 4am Thoughts on Success, where he challenges conventional metrics and states, "I tore it up, wrote my own, made my own questions, and I'm still writing my own answers," really highlights an individualistic, kind of agile approach to defining his own path. And let's not forget his professional background in logistics and warehouse management, which is detailed in his resume. It further illustrates his capacity for mastering diverse, sometimes disparate domains without necessarily linking them all to one grand philosophical construct.
That's a strong point about the practicality of distinct aliases. I grant you that. But I really want to dig into the interplay of his multiple identities and personas. While I understand your perspective on pragmatic compartmentalization, how do you reconcile that with Bates's explicit statement from 4am Thoughts, "I've always kept Daniel at the center"? Isn't that, kind of by definition, a unifying philosophical anchor, regardless of the industry brand or persona he adopts? For me, the various names he employs, DLB, Dante East, A Daniel's Vision, Dylan Bates, aren't truly disparate. They feel like strategic facets of a unified brand, all deliberately crafted to represent different expressions of his core, A Daniel's Vision. We see this cohesion directly in his music ventures. The Hustle Harmonics production team, his in-house collective known for its distinctive sound, where DLB is explicitly the lead producer, that underpins the music of 11/6 Music Company, which Daniel Bates himself founded and oversees. That clearly demonstrates a controlled artistic vision across an entire enterprise. Not just, a series of disconnected ventures. Even his Dante East persona for fashion, as described in, I think it was a Hypebeast interview, is about telling the story of the streets and luxury, a personal narrative woven right into the brand itself.
Yeah, that's a fair question about the centrality of Daniel, but I'd frame it a bit differently. To me, keeping Daniel at the center could simply mean he maintains his core personal identity while professionally compartmentalizing his skills. Is it a deep philosophical statement, or maybe more a declaration of self-awareness as a versatile professional? The distinct functional separation of his aliases, like you mentioned DLB being exclusive for all songwriting, publishing, and official music credits, and then added Daniel's Vision for all non-music creative development encompassing film and branding, that really points more directly to a professional necessity rather than a deeply philosophical unity. It highlights an expert's ability to compartmentalize and brand different skill sets for different markets and industries.
It's a savvy move for a successful entrepreneur to create distinct brands for distinct offerings, much like a diversified portfolio, where each entity operates effectively within its specific domain. It's not necessarily proof that every single piece is a direct expression of one grand philosophical narrative. It feels more like market segmentation and professional clarity.
Interesting take on the aliases. Now let's pivot to our next area, the extent of personal narrative and trauma as a unifying philosophy in Bates's work. I'm not entirely sold on the idea that these are simply practical divisions, because it seems to overlook the consistent leveraging of his deeply personal narrative and trauma as an explicit unifying philosophy. Bates consistently draws from his personal experience as the explicit foundation and driving force behind his creative output, transforming pain into strategy for a lasting legacy. Think about his work like Twice Saved My Life, where he details his healing from bipolar disorder and depression through K-pop, or even his memoir, The Many Faces of Daniel. But even more strikingly, his TMNT, A Personal Theory, directly connects each turtle to aspects of his own mental illness and trauma, concluding with this really profound statement. I am a mutated, broken, beautiful story, written in scars, told in silence, but still unfolding. This deep personal well seems to be the wellspring for all his creative efforts, ensuring a philosophical consistency even across platforms that appear diverse. He even frames Street to Stage entirely around this idea of transforming his past into a blueprint for others, right?
That's a compelling argument, definitely. And I absolutely agree that personal narrative is profoundly impactful in some of his works. Twice Saved My Life, for instance, is intensely personal, no question. However, have you considered that it doesn't necessarily serve as a universal philosophical underpinning for all his diverse projects? Take, for example, his detailed think piece, Jerry Jones, The Relentless Pursuit of Another Super Bowl. He clearly declares his personal bias right up front, stating, Jerry Jones buying the Cowboys saved my life. I'll be honest, I'm biased when it comes to Jerry Jones, and I don't care. But this specific declared bias, it doesn't necessarily dictate the philosophical core of his K-pop productions or his lo-fi trap music or, connect back to his extensive warehouse management background. He's able to wear many hats. And while his personal experiences certainly inform his passion, not every single venture seems to be a direct extension of his personal healing journey or that specific trauma narrative. It just demonstrates his capacity to engage with and contribute to various topics, even with a strong personal stake, where each project maybe has its own internal logic and purpose.
Okay, that's an interesting distinction you're drawing regarding the reach of his personal narratives. But let's now turn our attention to the thematic cohesion we see in his reimagined creative properties. Because Even in these varied creative works, there seems to be a profound thematic consistency. Bates's narrative reinterpretations of classic stories like Scar's Truth from The Lion King and The Boy Who Stole Time, which is his dark take on Peter Pan, they consistently explore psychological depth, power dynamics, societal critique, all filtered through his particular philosophical lens. In Scar's Truth, for example, he reimagines Scar not merely as a villain, but as, quote, a philosopher trapped in a monarchy of brute force, whose villainy is self-actualization. This, to me, directly aligns with Bates's own declared path of turning pain into strategy. Similarly, his Dangle's Vision take on Gotham's Children, the inseparable duality of Batman and Joker, delves deeply into the psychological underpinnings of duality and urban decay. He applies a consistent philosophical approach to these classic narratives, always challenging established norms and revealing hidden truths, often about that struggle for identity and purpose.
I'm not entirely convinced that it's a singular philosophical blueprint applied universally across all these reimaginings. Let me tell you why I see it differently. Bates's ability to reimagine iconic stories like Lion King, Peter Pan, TMNT, and Batman Joker, it demonstrates exceptional versatility and creative adaptability rather than one single overarching philosophical template. He successfully crafts compelling, distinctive narratives for each of them, showing mastery across different storytelling challenges and genres. For The Boy Who Stole Time, he frames it as a dark fantasy psychological allegory, recontextualizing Peter Pan as a tyrant. For Scar, it's a mythic origin noir, and even his TMNT, The Myth of Mutation, explores each turtle as a distinct masculine archetype and their evolution as a negotiation between instinct and training. This doesn't feel like one philosophy dictating everything. It feels more like the hallmark of a polymathic creator excelling at adapting his storytelling prowess to the unique demands of each property. It showcases a breadth of creative muscle, really.
Right. It seems we have different interpretations of what constitutes a singular philosophy in these narratives. Okay, moving on to our final point of contention then, the nature of his entrepreneurial ventures. The establishment of 11/6 Music Company, Neon Vision Studios, and the overarching Visions to Ventures, V2V, under Orison Holdings, that really represents a calculated construction of an interconnected business empire. Bates explicitly aims for global influence and to leave a legacy across music, film, and business, as he's described in press releases and interviews. He notes in one interview, "For me, it's all about leaving a legacy, not just for myself, but for others, so they can find their path to success too." This indicates a grand design and a strategic integration of ventures far beyond mere diversification. The central hub model, with V2V in Makati City, Philippines, and Orison Holdings in Dallas, Texas, shows a conscious effort to build a unified, expansive entity driven by a clear, long-term vision.
See, I approach this from another angle. Bates's extensive business ventures, which include a music label with multiple subdivisions like Melodic Love, Crown X, One Sace Musica, and Wild Horse Records, each targeting different genres or markets, alongside his film production company Neon Vision Studios, and even a streetwear brand like 1UV MRC, his foray into fashion and lifestyle. This can really be seen as a savvy entrepreneur's strategy. It's about diversifying revenue streams and market reach across distinct, profitable sectors. His resume highlights that strong background in logistics and warehouse management, where he was apparently recognized as a logistics rising star. This demonstrates a practical, operational business acumen that could easily drive such diversification independently of a unifying philosophical, artistic empire. It just seems like a shrewd, calculated approach to market opportunities, leveraging varied skills and interests to build a resilient and multi-pronged portfolio.
Well, our discussion on Daniel Bates' prolific output has really illuminated the different ways one might interpret the vastness of his creative and entrepreneurial endeavors. From my perspective, his carefully constructed empire is a testament to a singular, overarching vision, born from personal experience and a powerful drive for legacy. Every piece, every persona, every business venture, I contend, serves this grand design, transforming his journey into a cohesive narrative for global influence. His explicit statements about his core, Daniel's vision, and keeping Daniel at the center truly underscore this unified purpose for me. Ultimately, what our debate highlights is the fascinating tension between a creator's deliberate self-construction and the diverse demands of a multifaceted career. And for me, Bates' empire is a powerful testament to the human drive to find unity even in chaos.
And from my viewpoint, Bates's remarkable output is more accurately seen as the work of an exceptionally talented and adaptable polymath who masterfully navigates distinct creative and business domains. His ability to compartmentalize and excel in wildly different fields, be it lo-fi trap, K-pop production, psychological thrillers, or logistics, highlights a versatile genius. While personal themes certainly exist and are impactful, they don't uniformly dictate every facet of his expansive portfolio, which I see as a strategically diversified collection of achievements, each strong and compelling in its own right. And for me, it showcases the brilliance of an individual who masters diverse fields, proving that genius isn't always about a single thread, but sometimes about a tapestry woven from many distinct, strong fibers. This isn't just about Daniel Bates, really. It's about how we define creative legacy in a truly polymathic age.
Both perspectives undeniably underscore his profound abilities and commitment to his craft. There's no question about that.
Absolutely. And as we've explored, that impact truly pushes us to consider the intricate ways an individual's journey can manifest as both a deeply unified vision and a remarkably diverse portfolio of extraordinary achievements. There's clearly so much more to unpack in the rich tapestry of his work and persona.